Drex, roaches, credit criminals, get-me-dones. We've heard all the slang words through the years. Uh, we've gotten so much more socially conscious today. We're talking about credit challenged, equity impaired.
Which is going to be a lot more.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Dawg Pound. And today, I'm Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dawg, and today, our panelists, a rowdy, mischievous bunch, April Simmons from the Alpha Dawg Posse Horn Automotive Group. Hi, April.
Hey, Jim. Hey, team. How we doing? Great topic today. I think it's going to be super relevant to this year and probably the coming year or two. And so I'm ready to jump in.
Okay, now at Horn Automotive Group, do you have any subprime departments or any subprime lenders? What are you doing?
We actually have two of our independent stores that only sell used cars. They both have buy here, pay here. And then they also obviously are very heavily in with subprime. And then all of our franchise new car stores, we don't have a separate department, though we do have a percentage of our stores that are all equipped, trained to handle subprime, so we don't have an issue with that.
So you've got some buy here, pay here stores.
Two.
Fantastic. And the mistress of executive management.
That was Empress.
Empress. Yeah, I was going to say.
The Empress.
It changed it.
What the heck?
I mean, mystery sounds dirty.
Yeah, right.
Right, pineapple. That's a pineapple, right?
Miss Jennifer Briggs herself,
Hey,
one
Jim.
of the foremost consultants in automotive retail. Hi, kid.
How you doing?
I'm feeling great.
Good. How was your birthday?
Well, I turned 76 years old. I
76 years young.
planned to be this
Thanks,
old.
Max.
Jim, I bet you there was a point in your life that you were like, man, I don't even think I want to live to be 76 until you turn 75, right?
I didn't tell him
can't
that,
even-
Debbie. Then he wants to live.
I don't know I'm old.
You're not. It's
And
because
amazing.
you're going to live forever.
I live inside this body looking out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you had a wonderful birthday. That might have
Absolutely.
been what we were up
Debbie
at.
bought me a new gun sight.
Saw that.
Ooh.
Saw that.
The CZ
Yeah.
Scorpion that you enticed me.
Yeah.
I have a new Sig Sauer brand red dot sight on it that Debbie gave
You
me.
know, the next time I'm able to come down to visit you and Miss Debbie, I'm going to have to bring mine and we're going to have to go shooting.
We'll go shooting. When Debbie's on the pistol range, she's Dirty Debbie, like Dirty Harry.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, you girls are dangerous, dangerous. And special guest panelist today, good friend of ours, recent father of twins, Mr.
Yes.
Patrick O'Brien himself.
Yes, thank you, Jim. Thank you, guys. Jennifer, Max, April. Nice to see all of you guys. And yes, I hope I look well rested. I certainly get more sleep than my wife does. But I'm excited about this topic. Subprimes. That's like right up my alley. Not only as a dealer, but also at some point in my life as a consumer as well. So.
But Patrick, didn't you switch over to the dark side? Aren't you a vendor?
I did recently. But Jim and I had a conversation about that earlier prior to joining in. Jim has a client that is a competitor, so we're going to kind of stay off that and stick directly with the topic at hand.
But how does it feel to be
And Max already stirring it up.
I know, right? I don't even get 5 minutes into my intro, and Max is already stirring the shit. No, it's okay. No, you know what? It's great. Honestly, where I joined on with a great team, a great leadership team, and it was really a nice change, especially with the fact that I have 3 kids that are all under the age of 15 months. I get to work from home, but honestly, I get to stay involved on a day-to-day basis with dealers, and I get to do it in more than just one dealership.
What company are you with? Go ahead.
It's Connect AI or SMS AI software. So
You're welcome, Patrick.
A good
Yeah.
friend of mine is heading that up.
Yep, Jared, our COO, Jared Kilway, was just promoted to Chief Operating Officer of the company. Obviously, Jared has an extensive background not only on the dealer OEM but also on the software and vendor side. So when I had the opportunity to jump on this, I didn't want to miss the boat on another great entry in the vendor world, like I had so many previous years on CRMs, trade platforms, all these things that I could have gotten involved in years ago that I missed. And I said, it's not going to work. Well, here we are. So I didn't want to have that opportunity again, but let's go.
From Moscow, Russia. The mad Russian himself. I mean, the king of reinsurance, hiding out in Spain this week. My friend, Max Zanan.
Listen, Jim, I got to say, after leaving retail and becoming a vendor was the best thing that ever happened to me. So Patrick, stay a vendor.
No, I listen. I'm loving it so far. I'm doing good. We're signing on new dealers as we go. So it's so far it's really exciting. I'll be at NADA this next week for the first time, so that'll be fun.
But Patrick's third generation, so that's
and I'm different, man. I'm a legacy kid. It's a different thing.
Patrick just made my point from the last show. You see, when he was in retail, he never went to NADA.
Right.
Like Jim, Jim, right? This is crazy.
It's amazing. But the devil did a mean trick. Most people will say, that are religious people will tell you the devil deceived the world into believing he didn't exist.
Right.
And through the years, I have deceived people into believing that I'm not a vendor.
Jim, you got to stop giving all your secrets away.
right.
Okay, today we're going to talk about subprime finance. We're going to talk about the tsunami that's coming. Not just subprime finance, buy here, pay here, why every dealer needs to get into it. And I went to a bunch of statistics online. I stumbled across Lending Tree. And Lending Tree, I've got 14 pages of current statistics on lending habits, lending outcomes. The stats are all here, and I'm not analytical because the first four letters of the analytical are.
Listen, as the trained business analyst, I hate it when you make that joke.
But anyway, let's talk about, Jennifer, what did you get out of reading the online stats from Lending Tree?
Well, so what I thought was very appropriate, I know we had a little of discussion before the show about this, is that the comparison periods that they're using are 2009. But
2009?
2009, which I think is hyper relevant. I know that it seems like a million years ago, but that was the last time our particular vertical went through the type of constriction that we're currently seeing.
Huge recession.
I will also say that is the year I opened my first buy here, pay here lot. So I think that is very relevant. I don't think we're going to have as much of issues as we did back then. So maybe a little bit of a doomsday type comparison, but I think the biggest thing that can be gleaned from this is making sure that your processes and people, and it's not just having the right lenders, and it's not just setting up a buy here, pay here, or if you have the wherewithal, your own leasing company too, because that can really help when you do used car leasing for your own leasing company as a dealer. But it has to also be how we are working with these customers, because they are, like Jim said to start the show, credit and equity challenged. It creates a whole different experience. But in my 20 years in this business, I've seen those be the most loyal and highest profit consumers that we have. So it's worth the work.
Max, what did you get out of the Lending Tree stats?
I mean, I'm not worried about it because 2008 was the end of the world. I don't think we're facing the end of the world scenario. And the good news out of that lending tree stat, I'm just going to read it from this article. It says, in the first 3 quarters of 2022, borrowers with credit scores of at least 720 took out 274 billion in auto loans. The remaining credit tiers accounted only for 286. So people with good credit are taking out the most amount of loans. And statistically, people with good credit do not default.
Right.
Also, what 2008 and 2009 taught me is that people will give up their house before they give up their car.
It was rough.
Yeah.
The foreclosure rates were higher than repossession rates.
Can't get to work.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So, and I wanted to touch on the fact, because I've been saying this just in comments and stuff, you know, over the last couple of years, the people that have been coming in and paying these, you know, these crazy market adjustments now coupled with the higher interest rates are not necessarily your subprime buyers. They haven't been them because they didn't have the buying power to accomplish the payment or the actual equity needed to be able to purchase a vehicle based on their credit. So what we actually saw, like Max's point, is we saw our good credit customers coming in, and now these people are the ones that are going to be in trouble in their vehicles. And why it's going to be different, and they're going to walk away from their house. Back then, we had a calamity going on with the housing market back in 2008. Okay, I remember it because I was a mortgage broker. This time, these people are going to walk away from their cars because they're buried in them.
You got to
the banks are already wiping the steps.
You got to understand that delinquencies are up in the last couple of years. I mean, I was real disappointed. Lending Tree used a 2009 comparison, and they said, "Well, delinquencies are down." No, delinquencies are up. In I would say post-pandemic, delinquencies are on an up arrow going up on the stats that I have seen recently. April, what are you experiencing?
Well, there's three different types of scenarios here that we're talking about. You have the typical subprime customer and delinquencies being up that are going to have that percentage be a little bit higher than maybe what it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. That's being driven by all the other economic factors that have nothing to do with automotive. It has more to do with inflation, has more to do with people losing their job, has more to do with the actual economic factors, right? That vertical is our typical subprime. That is a lot of what this show is about, on how we can make sure that our stores are ready to handle those customers. But that's only one piece of it. The next piece of it goes into what Patrick is talking about, which is this massive negative equity for the good credit customers who now are not walking away from their house that's causing their credit score to plummet. They're coming in with just a massive amount of negative equity and wanting to make a change.
And might potentially walk away from cars.
Okay, that's the next one. You're jumping ahead.
Okay, sorry.
It's all good. This one, what I'm going to reference back to, the last time I saw massive negative equity and people weren't walking away from it because we were able to help them, was actually the last time fuel economy jumped way, way up. So we're talking more like 2006, before the economy crash happened. And when the gas prices went up and everyone was coming in with trucks and SUVs and trying to buy small cars and hybrids, we had people with 20, 25, in some cases $30,000 of negative equity, to the tune where car dealers were literally saying, "You can buy my car, but you can't trade yours in."
Right.
Losing massive amounts of money through the lane. Like it was lease returns, like nobody kept it. Have a good time with that one. That's what's going to happen with this level of customers. These people are coming in and saying, "Hey, this is crazy. I owe way too much on this. What do I need to do?" Those particular customers don't have the ability like we did 2006-ish, where they're going to be tapping their home equity loans. That's really what everyone did. They tapped their home equity loans back then to turn around and get the money to put down to then be able to get into a vehicle that made sense for them, that had better fuel economy. So we're going to have this negative equity situation. It's definitely going to be a little bit more tough to overcome over the next couple of years, and that's going to last for a little while. This isn't going to be just a quick knee-jerk situation and we're out of it. This is going to be one that's going to take some time. Then, to Patrick's point, the last section of customers we're going to have to deal with are going to be the ones like in 2008 with homes, are going to happen with cars where people go, and have a nice day.
Yep.
You're going to throw the keys in. The average car payment, April, the average car payment is over $700. That's $80 higher than the average last year.
Correct. And that's where people are going to start having some issues with that. But at the end of the day, how many of those good credit customers are willing to take the repo hit? There's going to be a good amount. And how they go about that, and how many lenders, like Patrick already mentioned, there are a lot of lenders that are saying, yeah, I don't need the trade-in. It's fine. So are the banks at this point just going to assume the fact that there's going to be a lot of write-offs happening, and how are they going to right those wrongs? If one bank is saying, I don't need any steps, you can go ahead and flush that car, but then this bank is now flushing that car, like, how does that all balance itself out?
Well, it's going to put even more weight and responsibility, like it already should have been. We've talked about this on other shows, for your finance managers knowing the programs and working the banks to make sure that they can get deals bought. It's going to put even more pressure on that, because like you're saying, in order to make sure you can close as many deals as possible, you need to know who can help you with which customer, because and right now, this moment, not going to be a huge issue, but in 8 months, 18 months, it will be huge. So you have time to prepare if you are not already ready.
I know. There's like tips I want to start giving people today on how to prepare.
I spoke with Paul Sansone recently, dealer in New Jersey, and he has started buy lease here, pay here.
Yeah.
For subprime customers.
He's been doing that a while though, hasn't he?
Well, he's started franchising it for other dealers now.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say that's been part of his.
He has a quite impressive book of business, and the performance stats are pretty high with subprime customers. Mm-hmm. Not buy here, pay here, lease here, pay here.
Talking about before, the first group that I worked for, before we opened our buy here, pay here lot, that's how we would handle customers that we were not able to get finance. And to be fair, as we talk about the area I was in, I mean, we operated in mid-Michigan during the crash of the big three, and I had all General Motors dealerships, right? So not only were we dealing with the economy, we were dealing with 50% of our consumer base lost their jobs because the plants closed down. So they were losing everything. But we would do a 12-month lease here, pay here on a used car to help. And we would report, right? We want to get those payments on there and help them to bring their scores up, and then flip them into something later. It's huge.
And you know what's great about it, and I love that you brought that up, Jennifer, because I know the buy here, pay here. If I'm not mistaken, I know who you're talking about there. And what's great is you keep this customer who you've now helped out, right? You've helped them when they're in a time of need, and you've set them up properly to understand. Hey, listen, you got to crawl before you walk. That old additive, right? But we keep them in our pipeline of consumers, and we move them along. And as they grow financially, not only do we keep their business, but then we almost look like a hero to them, because we're the ones that set them on the path to financial, a better financial standpoint, I guess, in life.
Patrick, we're going to be seeing a lot more subprime. I mean, I look at I know Lending Tree is in the business of lending. That's the first part of their name, but anyways, they put out some really good statistics. Payments are up $82 in less than a year.
That is the part.
Used vehicles is up $53. Now, the average used car payment right now is $525. The average new car payment is right at $700. And the new lease vehicles are $567, which is $61 up from last year.
That's
When we reach the
yeah.
point where consumers can no longer afford the cars we sold them for $10,000 over a year ago, when we were selling cars for $10,000, $20,000 over sticker, that's reflected in these stats, I am sure. What do you think, Max?
Well, I think you have to dissect the credit profile, because a 720 credit score does not equal a 720 credit score. You can be a 720 credit score with 2 credit lines and be out of college and be a crypto millionaire with a portfolio of NFT bullshit. You could be driving a G63, right? A G63 that you paid $100,000 over sticker, right? And you are the person who hyped up that market. And that G63 is going to go repo because that crypto millionaire is now back in McDonald's serving Happy Meal, right? So the people, if you remember, if you look at the G-Wagon market, because G-Wagon market is unique, right? It's a unique car. It's
absolutely collapsed in the last 2 months.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But if you look at that market prior to COVID, that car never, ever, ever sold for sticker. Dealers were lucky to give it away for invoice. Now, all of a sudden, they wanted, listen, I know dealers that were asking 150, 200 over sticker, right? So, of course, this type of 720 credit profile is going to crush that G-Wagon market, right? Then there's another 720 with 3 paid mortgages, 7 paid car loans, and maybe they did pay $10,000 over sticker. They are not going repo. Even if the other bank waives the steps, they're not going repo. Credit is reflection of character.
Yeah.
And these people have a credit profile lasting 30, 40, 50 years. They never defaulted on anything. They've never made a late payment in their lives, and they're not going to start now. So I think in that respect, the market is coming back to where it should be. The G-Wagon should be selling for invoice or less than invoice, not 150 over sticker, right? And normal cars should be selling for MSRP or less, right? That's where we're going back to. So I'm really not worried about it. What I'm more worried about is used car leasing. Right? Because I'm not a mathematician, but leasing works on the residual value.
Yes.
And the higher the residual value, the lower the monthly payment.
Well,
And
the payments were going up 8.4%.
Right.
The price of vehicles are going up 13%.
The last 2 years, these used car values, these used cars were appreciating in value. Right? So you could provide even a subprime customer with a really low monthly payment on a used car lease. But don't forget, somebody has to return that lease at the end of the term, right? And somebody has to take that car to the auction, right? And what do you think is going to happen if you did your used car lease 6 months ago, and you're going to take that car on the lane in 2.5 years? It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the key, especially as we're really talking about preparing for this situation. You cannot do that term for the majority of used car leases. Used car leasing never went away for highline dealers, but I think it really is a lot less popular than it was before 2008 and 2009. A lot of dealers, coming from Michigan and spending most of my career there, I mean, we're all about leasing, but we talked about this a few weeks ago. Regionally, it's not the same across the country. They can't even understand a new car lease, let alone a used car lease. But as we're talking about preparing, you can't, if you're doing your own lease here, pay here, which you should seriously look into, you cannot do a term that long, 12 months.
Here's an interesting stat that is contributing to what I see as the big crash. The average loan amount on a new car is $42,000. Average. 1 year ago,
I know that I'm not the oldest on the show, but I
28,000.
sit here and I giggle because my first house only cost $37,000.
1 year ago, it was $28,000.
Holy sh!
It went from 28,000 to 42,000 in 1 year. The average carryback on a loan, that does not include their trade-in equity or their down payment. Just what the bank financed or the lender financed is 42 grand.
It's going back.
I bought my
It's going back to 30
my
grand.
first Lincoln Town car for 30 grand. I mean, and that was a lot of money. Unbelievable.
It's going to be interesting, but I think the outside of having your financing in order, which we already know, and somebody had said in the comments earlier that most finance and sales managers have no idea how to read a bureau anymore. I think we talked about this with Brian Benstock last week or the week before, where a lot of people who have been in the business for the last 2 years do not know how to work in the business, right? They have been circumstantially successful because of market trends. And so when we talk about having to roll up your sleeves and go to work, and listen, guys, this is the perfect time having this conversation because you have time. You have time to get your finance managers trained. You have time to line up. Are you going to hold the paper? And you should. I mean, it's going to be, if you want to talk about maintaining profitability in tough market times and helping as many customers as possible, there's a lot of risk, but there's a lot of reward there as well. But think about your processes. I'm building out, and I've always been big on custom processes, but talking about credit rebuilder processes, whether it's someone I can get financed right now, or if I got them financed at $24.99. And how I'm going to communicate with that customer, because the life cycle is going to look different. Life cycle.
Let's go another direction on that. Now, when you talk about reading a bureau, I'm going to take that one step farther. I'm going to go back to my conversation earlier with Paul Sansone. Most finance managers not only don't know how to read a bureau, they don't know how to interview a customer to work the lender.
So if they wanted to sign up to learn that, Jim, where could they?
Very few people will pick up a phone and call the supervisor. If Route 1 or Dealer Track said no, that's the end of the deal with most dealerships. Mm-hmm. And I hate it when I see the desk managers work in the banks. Because the desk managers.
It's so common now.
I was going to say, and it's become such a commonplace.
I didn't get it.
Why did that become a common thing? I agree with you, but why?
I don't know how we got there, honestly, but I know even the last time I was in retail, I probably called the lender working to rehash a deal more than the finance managers ever did, unless there was an issue in the back somewhere.
I will say, I believe it's because a lot of the aftermarket product companies, it's very easy to sustain loyalty in a client if I'm continuously having to train entry-level finance managers on how to sell product. And all I'm doing is training them how to sell product. So it creates a better business cycle. That's my opinion of what I have seen across the country over the last 5 years, where it used to be my finance managers were my most skilled managers in the entire dealership.
Jennifer,
they're supposed to be that way.
Jennifer, you took my F&I school. You know what I teach. When I set records in F&I, when I set records in the day, when I set records in F&I, it was not because I was so much better than the other people in the box. I was so much better at getting the deals approved. Mm-hmm. My biggest skill was getting the deals bought when other people could not get the deals bought, because I knew how to work the lenders. Scientifically, I didn't work the lenders with, hey, do this for me. We gave you a lot of deals. I hear the conversations. Hey, look, we gave you a bunch of prime deals. You owe us another one. No, I had strategic reasons because I had interviewed the consumer, and the consumer credit counseling interview. The first time I ever spoke at an NADA convention, I blew the numbers away, the highest rated speech at the convention. When I spoke in 1987.
Is that when you blew the wall out and they had to give you 2 rooms?
No, that was 2014.
I was going to say, that was his last one.
That was 2014 when they had to break down the air
The
wall.
wall, yeah.
So I know we don't normally do this, Jim, but this is important. How do the people listening, because we just said now is the time, how do they sign up to learn and to be better and to be prepared for what's happening in 6 months? How can they sign up for your finance course or virtual training with you?
You mean what are you talking about right now? You're talking about training?
I'm talking about getting
them prepared
on where to start, and they should hire you to teach their finance managers actually how to do that.
Oh, well, please hire me. I do Zoom training, folks. I am ready to teach your finance people and your sales managers how to do this. But
I'll tell you what, one of the things that I learned in Jim in your class the most was actually how to set the deal up the right way to send into the bank the first time. So that if you do have to rehash it, you know exactly where you're going to be going to rehash it, because you know what the bank's going to ask of you. You already know it. You already know the answers, the questions to the answers the bank's going to have you.
Credit.
Okay, but
most people don't even know the number one reason deals are turned down is not bad credit, it's capacity, the ability to
repay the loan.
The number two reason is credit history, how they paid their bills in the past. The number 3C of credit is collateral. You know, how much cash or equity did you put in the deal? What is the bank's collateral? What is the reduction of risk? Right. So you've got number one is capacity. That's the number one reason deals are turned down.
Yep.
Because the customer did not have the income or had a debt load. Debt load is actually the part of capacity. Debt load was out of sync. So debt load is part of capacity. Then credit history, we all know what that is. Bad loans, bankruptcies, judgments, tax liens, late payments. We all know what bad credit is. There are ways to get that stuff out of the bureau within 12 hours. There are ways within 12 hours to get that stuff out of the bureau. Some of it, not all of it. But generally, when I interview a consumer, I can raise their credit score maybe 20 points. We're not talking about experience, blow up your credit with, we're talking about legitimately move their credit score 20 points by getting things out of their bureau. And the other thing you can do with subprime customers is put things into their bureau.
Yep.
Most people don't realize that the
that was one of the best things I learned in the class.
Yeah.
Everybody pay attention.
Everybody wants to get bad credit out of their bureau. Excuse me.
Good credit in.
Errors. They really did that. You're not going to get that out. But the other point is you can put good credit into their bureau. Like most people don't realize, a buy here, pay here loan is an installment loan. And more than half of the buy here, pay here lenders do not report to the bureau, even though they are members of the bureau. And if they are members of the bureau, that's why they have an inquiry in the customer's credit bureau, because they are members of the bureau. When you sign up for bureau, you become a member. So anyway, if they are a member of the bureau, I can force them to put that buy here, pay here loan, paid as agreed, into the bureau and raise the customer's credit score. There are things you can do to add to the customer's credit. I've actually put rent to own furniture in as additional credit.
Rent-a-center.
Yeah.
I mean, that was in the F&I manager training that I took with you. That was the part that I was like, and I like to think that I think outside of the box, but I never would have thought of that. And I'm like,
okay, so I'm going to be unpopular for a second, because all of that is great, Jim, and I agree wholeheartedly. Like, I was always let's work the lender, but finance managers today do not care about getting loans bought. They don't. Okay, part of the reason your desk is clicking over is because a desk manager takes a deal back to finance, and finance says, where the crap you think you're going to get that hung at? And
well, see, I didn't train those people.
No, that's, yeah.
I agree.
If I'd have trained those people, and if I'd have trained their general manager, that wouldn't happen, because I would have fired the general manager or trained the general manager.
Agree.
You're a general manager.
But we're talking about the majority of the dealers out there right now. We got to talk about the gatekeepers first, and that's your desk. Your desk needs to be trained on how to read a bureau and how to actually strategically put the deal together and say, that's not my job. You let me know when you can't get it.
April, I teach that.
Okay, I agree. But not everybody is taking your course yet, Jim. We're talking
Well,
about who needs to
yeah.
get. And
It's free online. Ziegler on demand. All my training is free online.
Yeah,
And
but Jim,
I will
nobody's
tell you guys, the reason I did it is April's exact point is I took it as an executive in the dealer group to then enforce the training with the general managers at all of the stores. At that point, they were responsible for what happened inside of their store.
Agreed.
But I 100% agree, April. We
got to start with the desk, Jim. Before you go telling every finance manager to get trained, let's get the desk trained on how to do the basics, how to read the bureau, how to make sure they're not missing deals. Because I'm going to tell you, when you start talking about subprime, you're going to have your finance managers. This gets into a whole nother area of topic, but you got to start now talking about pay plans, because your finance managers are paid on penetration, they're paid on PVR, they're paid on a lot of these things. And the banks on subprime are going to control some of those factors a little bit differently. So there's a lot more to this subject and understanding that whole big reason on why. And I'm a big proponent of understand the why, then you can fix it. But if you don't understand the why, we can't fix it. So right now, just like salespeople across this country, we have a lot of managers who are.
You're saying the desk managers need to be trained as well as the F&I managers. Is that what I'm hearing?
150 million,
Yes.
trillion%.
I've trained a billion desk managers.
Guys, hold on. This is not realistic, right? Because finance managers and desk managers don't get paid the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and I'm speaking from experience, right? I was a
Hey, Max,
Yeah.
me too.
I was a very successful general manager, right? Who did finance.
I know that.
before, right? So the key to success is to have a general manager who understands F&I.
Didn't I just say that, Max? Didn't I just say that? Okay.
Right. And then, but there's a then, right? Then that general manager has to take a finance manager out of the box and plan that finance manager at the desk.
Oh,
You mean not everybody cross trains in
Max,
dealerships?
let me jump on that second, guy.
That's why we're.
Everybody, hang on.
April knows.
I'm going to let you have your turn, folks. Hold it. Okay. In the year 2000, when I was consulting Prestige Ford in Dallas, Texas, I had been consulting Westway Ford, and I had gotten Westway Ford up to 1,000 units a month, up from 400. All my processes. I was in that store twice a month. Okay. When Westway Ford sold to Van Tile, I was hired by Prestige Ford, their competitor. 400 units, we went to 1,000. We did 1,700 units in 1 month, one time. We beat all the other Ford dealers in the country. This is Randall Reed's Prestige Ford in Dallas. So anyway, we had 5 desk managers, and I sat on that desk. It was a zoo. I was sitting at the desk shoulder to shoulder with 4 other desk managers. If you wanted a sandwich, you ate it while you were penciling deals. Get the picture. Yeah. There were 7 F&I managers sitting behind us in this tower, 1 level up. 7 F&I managers. We had 75 new car salespeople. I had a line of salespeople in front of me at the desk all day long. When one left, and when you desk deals with that many people, most desk managers couldn't do it because you have to have Zen math. You no longer are math. What did I tell this guy? What did I tell this woman? What did I tell? They come back and I said to you, and what did I tell? What did I say? You know, where's my closers? I need a closer. You know, I mean, you are desking so many deals. Like you got 10 people standing in front of you, and the back of the line keeps refilling. And one thing we did was so cool. I got them to cut holes in the desk in front of you. Managers, listen, cut hole in your desk. and have your computer screen under the desk where the salespeople can't see it. A hotel with a glass top.
Mm-hmm.
Put a glass. So all the desks had glass tops. Our computer screen was under the desk facing us, and the keyboard in front of us, and the salespeople couldn't see your screen. What do you think, April?
I love that. I absolutely love that. That's super fun. I remember back in the day, that was my world. I miss that sometimes, that high energy and all that stuff. I don't know if I could run at that level, but I think I could. Anyway, I did that for years and years and years. But I still to this day, if I go into a store and I go behind the tower and somebody says, "Hey, we need some help. Desk guy's out. Can you jump in?" And Jennifer, you know what I'm talking about.
All the time.
You just jump in and go. I'll send a deal back to finance, and they're like, "What are you thinking?" I'm like, "That deal's got 5 points in it. You're gonna have to re-sign them to get them in." And they think I'm nuts. I'm like, I know how to read a bureau, because it goes back to what we talked about earlier. It's about the full character. Banks still look at the whole thing. It's not just a score. They look at loan to value. They look at all these other aspects. So how many deals are we going to lose because your gatekeeper said this is not a deal based on a grid on a piece of paper, and that's all they have to go off of? If all your desk manager knows how to do is to click buttons and read a grid, you are going to have a massive amount of customers walk out your showroom that you could have made a deal with. It's
April, you can call the credit bureau. The credit bureau will come out to the dealership and conduct a training session for free if you are subscribing to that credit bureau. You can call Asperian, you can call TransUnion, and they will come out to your office. They even bring donuts.
All of that, guys, all of that is irrelevant. You can train till you blue in the face, right? It comes down to authority. If the desk manager has no authority, the finance manager is going to tell the desk manager to throw the customer out. Somebody has to understand that the finance managers do not have the ultimate authority. And unless your general manager or your desk managers understand F&I intimately, they will always be held hostage by your finance managers, by
Max,
your tomorrow morning, any work.
Max, tomorrow morning I will teach a class at Northwood University on how to be a general manager. I'm teaching a class on automotive general manager at a 4-year college for automotive, majoring in automotive.
#1 business automotive college in the country.
What's that? Right.
Is the #1 automotive business college in the country.
#1 automotive business college in the country. I'm teaching a class tomorrow morning on general manager because, like you, I agree that a general manager, most general managers are not qualified to be general managers. They are they're good desk managers that accidentally got the job and they don't even know anything about fixed stuff.
I'm hiding my face because it's so true.
It is.
I have tried to train so many general managers. I've had to train dealers how to be dealers. And I've trained general managers how to be general managers. And I see these clowns that are on the internet trying to teach people how to be managers that never were a manager themselves. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I held the position, folks. Max held the position. Jennifer, look at April. We've done it. We have been at the top levels in dealerships. And some of you fools out there call yourself trainers. You were a sales manager. That's the height of your career. Stop trying to teach people how to be something that you never were qualified.
I mean, Jim, you see, look at the sidebar. Every show, there's somebody who says amazing point, Max.
Well, what's hilarious is I was actually about to say, I actually agree with you on that point, Max. Because it always comes down to that.
I know exactly who that is.
And I don't think you use the word accountability, you use the word authority. But ultimately, it's not between the desk and finance. As a general manager, if you are not holding every single manager on your team accountable, and I know it's crazy. I talk with stores all the time. They don't have a save a deal meeting, right? They're not even looking at this stuff. So Max's point is you can't let You can't let the finance manager rob the store of a deal and vice versa. So whatever that structure is, and yes, the training is so very important, but what Max is saying is, if you as the general manager or the dealer principal do not make sure that every single member of your management team is going to work and doing what you're asking them to do, you will fail. And
Look at this note on the sidebar, Jennifer.
Who said it?
Here it is. There's a ton of sales managers that look for more reasons why a deal is not a deal. I'm going to take that one step further and give it back to you, Jennifer. Hang on.
No, you're good.
Salespeople walk out.
My ears are turning round.
Your salespeople walk out to a customer, whether it's an appointment or that they set an appointment or a walk-in customer, and they're not qualifying the customer. All the questions are designed to disqualify the customer. All the questions they ask are to find out why you cannot buy a car. We teach people that. You know, what's your budget? One of the dumbest asked questions we ask a customer. Why are you not, how's your credit? Why are you not qualified to do business? We are trying, all your salespeople are after disqualifying the customer. And if they come to the sales desk, my boss, let me tell you why these people can't buy a car. Why we got nothing here. I mean,
right.
All over your desk.
It's even a step further than that, Jim. I actually had somebody within the last 24 hours talk to me about, well, we need more qualified leads, like opportunity, like, what do you mean?
All leads are qualified.
Yeah.
All leads are right. A customer
Coffee is for closers, you dumbass.
So I love it, and I know it's super rare that Max and I are on the same page and that we agree about something.
No.
Time stamp it.
It is just, and that's what I was talking about too. There's even in your processes. So not just controlling your management team and making sure that everyone is going to work, but as we're talking about looking at this subprime growth, what is your process in working with customers? So instead of saying it's not a qualified lead, it might be a little bit harder for you to bring that customer down and take longer, but you also have to set your team up for success at those areas. If you do not have a checklist that you are somehow communicating with that customer, whether it's an email template, a video, a text message, so that way when they come in, you might actually be able to deliver that customer, even if they're subprime, instead of having to send them back for stips or, I mean, for bid, like the last time we went through this, we had a full-time
more customers are showing up.
Yes.
They are not contacting the dealership. You know what's really down on websites with chat leads? Nobody is doing the chats. That little thing on the side that says, hey, I'm available. I can chat with you now. Chat is died. Sorry, Gubagoo. Chat is dead. I'm telling you. Because customers
they had the lead gate pushed too far forward. If you put it in the right spot, it works. But anyway.
Jim, chat was never alive.
But hey, I'm telling you right now, chat is dying because customers are researching online and just going to the dealership. They're not contacting the dealership.
So then,
put it on your web
everybody
page.
keeps saying leads have been down and leads have been down. None of the stores I work with have had a reduction in lead volumes because we know how to structure our website and advertising so that we still have those opportunities.
Chat is down except in Jennifer's stores.
So if you are not one of Jennifer's stores, I strongly recommend that you build out a page or two or three, maybe with a splash page and an internal linking SEO strategy with information for your credit challenged and equity challenged customers. So that way Google and your customers can see, no matter which way they choose to contact you, how they can be prepared and ready to purchase a car that day.
Because here's one thing, and here's one thing, and I
have to disagree with everybody.
No. Hold on, because Jim, you've been saying this for years. People with bad credit know they have bad credit. So go to that spot.
Chat is down because of Google My Business, Google profiles. Google profiles has taken the place of the chat on the website. People are going right to the dealership.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
And because they have a chat function.
None of that matters, because when the customer
Did you just say Google doesn't matter, Max?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because when the customer walks into your showroom, right, and you're used to dealing with good credit, you let that customer walk all over you, and you let them choose a car and tell you what they want to lease or finance or do a balloon or whatever, right? But when you have a 540 credit score walking into your showroom, you have to change the way you sell cars. You have to qualify them first, and you have to put them in a car. If you don't train your salespeople to put people in cars, you will never, ever be successful with subprime credit.
How is that different than what we were just talking about?
It's the same thing.
Interview.
Yeah,
the consumer credit counseling interview. And this is not for salespeople. This is for a manager to do. I do not want a salesperson talking to a customer about their credit. If we have a credit indicator, if the customer gives us any credit interview or in the qualifications, and that's where Max is talking about the qualifications, where'd you buy your last car? Where'd you finance your last car? Those two questions are the two top qualifiers. Where'd you buy your last car? I can drop that in casual conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you finance your last car? Oh, I got it through a company called Santander. I'm getting
red flag.
The sirens are going up.
And that's but you can accomplish a lot of this in the right kind of guest sheet. And if you have the right kind of guest sheet, you're doing it with every single customer the exact same way every single time. And you can identify which customer is going to probably end up in a subprime loan versus somebody who is not. I mean, and you can usually identify somebody with negative equity and all sorts of things that give us the challenges of hanging paper.
Back in the day, for the subprime customer,
I just want to say,
we call up the subprime customer and we'd say, "Hey, come on in. I got you approved on a vet." Come in,
Chevette.
Well, I mean, maybe I'm a
Corvette,
because I don't like to let any customer pick the car. I want to control that altogether, regardless of prime or subprime. So
we talk about the biggest hurdle in subprime today as we sit here today, which means I'm going to agree with all of you, but disagree that we're not even there yet. The number one problem that we have is that the majority of the dealerships out there today, because of the inventory shortages, are not willing to even help or talk to the subprime
because they don't have to.
First and foremost, the first thing that has to change is what's between our ears. The first thing that has to change is we have to say, as we're transitioning back, those customers have been kicked out of showrooms for the last 2 years every single day because it wasn't worth the effort and energy, because we can make all the money. Okay, you make all the money without having to go the extra.
We've been kicking those people out of the showroom. What a great line!
Well said, April.
And nobody followed up to teach them how to rebuild their
and that's it. Nobody ever followed up with them.
Bingo. So step one, before we worry about all the things that we need to do to actually sell those customers, is we have to make a valid choice that we want that business.
Yeah.
And that's
coming back. It's coming
together
back.
And say, we want that business. We want to not be woe is me and things aren't as easy as they were last year. Okay, you have to make a conscious effort that we are going to put the work in so that we can have a successful year. I think a lot of people will have year-over-year growth if they don't whine about things, and subprime is one of those big areas. But before you do anything, you have to say, we want that business. And then all the things you just said, every single person, Max, I always agree with you probably most, but but everyone else is right. So Jennifer was not wrong. Obviously, we have to have a marketing strategy around those customers and make sure they know we're here to help them, because we have been kicking them out.
Yeah.
Well, and what you just said too, April, guys, think about this. What April just told you is true, right? And we've talked about this in a lot of shows. People are not used to working in the business anymore.
Right.
So
they don't know how.
They don't know how.
They don't know how.
Go back through all of your lost opportunities, showroom visits, lost bad credit, lost financing, and do that for the last 18 months.
And
Create
if
a
you
call
don't have a
campaign,
separate
create an
process,
email campaign.
she's right.
Yep.
You have a completely separate follow-up process for those customers, not just the set it, forget it. So
Because everyone has been doing it that way, you guys. So if you want to get a jump on capitalizing on that market segment, you got to start looking at where you messed up, which is what April just said. We all messed up. So in order to correct it, go back over the last, you are allowed to contact those consumers up to 24 months after they inquired with you.
Yep.
So go back for that time frame, pull the list, put together an email blast, make it a lovely video email about how you help people, link it to a page on your website that talks about how you help credit challenge or you buy your pay here or lease your pay here if you already have it together.
Yeah, but Jennifer, there's a guy, you see there's a Facebook user on the side that he says, people like me have sold them already. You guys are late. That
No,
trade-
they haven't.
You know?
Do
Yeah,
you
this
know how
guy's
many
already got the
databases
business.
I'm in across the
Yeah,
country, Max?
that business is gone. You have to listen to what April is saying. You have to change the culture. of
April
the-
just said everybody kicked him out.
You have to make a decision that you want to go after this business because unfortunately, and it's not just the last 2 years, many dealers do not want to deal with going after STIPs and getting signed up with subprime banks. You know, they only know they're captive and that's all they know, right? But again, listen, selling cars solves all problems, right? And if Brian Benstock, right, a #1 Honda dealer in the galaxy, does all his deals with Honda Financial, and then a 370 credit score comes in, where do you think that deal goes? It goes to Honda Financial, and they're thrilled. They're thrilled to approve it at super preferred, you know, tier 1, no questions asked, throw
Oh,
them
come
the keys.
on.
Oh
I
yeah.
gotta see
You
that.
can ask Brian, he'll tell you.
Maybe on a new car, not on a pre-owned car.
Yeah.
On a
Okay,
new
let's-
car,
let's-
absolutely,
let's-
on a new car.
I don't think- I think
370
is a little bit low.
As we wind down,
brand new Cadillacs on
and the
400.
mischievous posse here is going rabbit on each other. Everybody's talking, nobody's listening. But anyway,
Those are the best shows.
oh my God! Oh, sorry, Bobbie's not here. She'd be right in the fray.
Oh yeah, she's been messaging us. I guess she had some issues getting connected. Who maybe her Wi-Fi got knocked out again. So
I saw that. I miss her. Okay, let's talk about. A couple of weeks ago, I said that every dealer needs to be in the used car business. I wrote that in Digital Dealer Magazine that every dealer needs to start an independent used car lot. Every
And service
dealer
center,
needs to
and
start
service
their
center.
own independent lot. Every dealer, not rely on the factory. Get separate floor planning while you have good credit with your other dealerships. Get separate. Max can help you with that. So anyway, Max will make a loan for you. But so anyway, get separate floor planning. Get your own independent dealership. All the majors are doing it. Group One's doing it. Penske's doing it. AutoNation. Everybody, all of them are doing it.
Lithia.
Berkshire.
Definitely doing it.
I did it 12 years ago.
Yeah. Everybody's starting their own independent lots. They don't want to be fooled with, they want to fool with the factories anymore. And subprime is going to hit like a boom. If you read this report and you really interpret it correctly, payments are up. Cars values that they financed them are going to drop tremendously. Carvana is a shell right now. You know, they misread the market. I just, the inventory was what killed them. So guess what? And when I talk to Paul Sansone and I look at lease here, pay here, what a great concept. And I can see a lot of that happening with subprime people. And you're going to get your gap. You're going to get all your insurances. I mean, you're going to get the profitability, and it's going to happen. So look at subprime as something you need to get into. And we said this earlier, and I was real pleased that somebody brought it up. But Ziegler on Demand is absolutely free training. If you want to know how to do some of the stuff we've been talking about, Jennifer, give me a testimonial on that.
Like I said, I mean, as an executive manager, it was one of the most valuable things, and I've been doing this for forever. And I took it like 3 years ago. And even at that point, there were a lot of things that I learned and was able to take back and disseminate through my management team.
I just looked at the video on the platform of the last F&I school I did live, which was in Indianapolis. Guess who was in the front row? Patrick O'Brien.
I was going to say, was Patrick in Indianapolis?
That was me.
He was in the front row in the video.
That's me.
I had just
you were supposed to do another one live, but of course, then we're not able to do that because I was registered for signing up for the live one and ended up having to do your first virtual.
Fantastic. Hey, okay, guys, we've burned an hour just as fast as that. It's incredible. I think we put out a lot of good information. April, was this good for you?
Always, you know it, my friend.
I had a great time. So, okay, everybody wave goodbye to the audience.